My name is Helen Caird, and I'm a visual artist based in Galway City, living outside the city in Gerard. And I've been here in art space, based in art space, for around 10 years now. I first came to the Lisbon Industrial Estate venue, and then in 2021 I moved to the Black Box. And my work practice is more drawing based. Um, but I've now, in the last couple of years, I've been venturing into collage work. And I've been very much involved with the National City Park here in Galway, the Terryland Forest Park, being acting as artist in residence. And I've done a lot of the illustrations, the drawings that you'll see on the information boards that are you'll see located around the park. And from that, my work would be very much environmentally um, uh, looking towards the environment and all environmental matters. And but also with my collage work, I've been looking towards sort of being something more playful. It's since I was a child, since I was in my very early, about 5 or 6. I remember some adult asking me one day, I was drawing a picture and they asked me, so what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, an artist. And but I didn't venture into art straight away. I became a teacher, primary school teacher, and realized that wasn't actually for me. And I decided in that 1997 I applied for the art colleges around the country. I gave up my teaching job and applied to all the art colleges, and I got Galway. Hugh, I found it liberating in one way because it was taking me away from the teaching role where that was quite constrained in a way. But on the other hand, there was a sense of constrainment, whereby you were learning about the rules of art and the rules of creating art and the various different techniques. Where I found myself to be kind of operating outside those constraints, and we're not always to the joy of the tutors. And I mean, I've very much enjoyed art history, learning about all the different eras and epochs in art history, and art theory. But I found sometimes if I wanted to go my own direction, it would be slightly controlled by the tutors. I found that. So if I was to be asked, would you go back to art college again? I'm not so sure I would. That's probably not a question you want. At the time, always one of my big inspirations, even though I'm not really a painter, but the likes of Frida Kahlo, and a lot of the female artists, even the portrait artists going back to the Renaissance. Unfortunately, I can't think of any of the names right now, but and a lot of the female artists actually, and even the sculptors like Rachel Whitehead. Yes, I think there is a lot more of a narrative in their works, especially with Frida Kahlo, when she was really sort of painting her life story and her experiences, whether a lot of them fairly harrowing experiences, right, going back to her late teens. But so that's what I found, that I enjoyed the narrative of their work. It was, to a degree. I've been playing around with lots of different ideas in my work. Even for my degree show, when I in 2011 I finished in ATU. Well, it was with GMIT then, and I looked at the very current, at that time, current issue of housing, and which is a completely different way of working with nature now. It's a complete departure, really. But again, it plays into the idea of that we have various different crises going on in the world, and with climate crises now. But back then we had still today we had a housing crisis. So I sort of focused in on all the ghost housing estates that existed back then after the crash had happened in 2008. And so I did a lot of photography at the time, actually, and I photographed a lot of the houses in the ghost housing estates, and sort of to highlight the need for housing and the idea that these are beautiful homes, almost finished, but the tools were dropped at the time, and then they were just left to rack and ruin. When I finished, I was the first time I went to college was between 97 and 2000 in GMIT. And when we finished, there was a group of us who had finished at the same time. We realized that there wasn't much at that time, um, many groups to, because being an artist can be a very isolating experience. So it was really important for us to form kind of a group that could offer support, and we could find it more easy to find a studio space for ourselves, like Art Space back in 1986 when they formed as a collective, and there was a terrible need for studio space at the time, and a resource centre, and we felt the need in 2000 when we finished college. We graduated, and we formed a collective at the time called ArtNot, and we were desperate at the time to find a studio space. Now, unfortunately, it didn't work out for us. We didn't find a studio space for ourselves because there was a lot of red tape to go through to find a space for ourselves at the time. And I think we just ran out of steam. But we kept the collective going for about 2 or 3 years. And then I think we would have disbanded maybe around 2004 or 5. I was on the board of directors at the time, yeah. And we ran into some difficulties then with funding, where our funding was cut quite considerably. So we really had to fight tooth and nail to try and retain that funding and to bring it back to a place where we felt that would keep us sustained. And but it was a wonderful resource to have, and a great. I was with Queen Street venue at the time, 2013, 2014. And of course we had a great a program on at the time, as I continue to do, and it was a great place where I don't think we had an artist in residency. It just simply didn't have the space, but it was a fantastic way to get involved in in other communities, and to have other communities get involved with us. I felt that things have been moving forward for me a lot in the last couple of years. I actually did an online course with it's a UK based organization called United Art Space, and I got involved with them, and I did a course called the 7 Keys course, and that really helped me to find what I wanted to venture in, because I found myself being pulled in very many different directions, and that helped me a lot in my art practice and wanting to kind of focus on a thread, and of course I keep up with the drawings, but I found I really loved getting involved with the collage work. Well, I had been before the Lisbon. I've been in it was called the Loft, which is up in Briar Hill, and that the Loft was very young group as well, which we had found only a couple of years previous to when I moved here, and so it was one of the similar to the Lisbon industrial estate, where there was a big warehouse that had been divided up into sort of cubicles, and then I'd heard that a space was going in Art Space at that time, so I moved in, and I was kind of used to that setup. But we all had our individual rooms in the Lisbon industrial estate, and I was sharing with another artist at the time, and but it was great community in that venue, as there is here, where in the black box we all have our individual spaces, and it's not as open plan as it would be in the Lisbon, but it was just great to find a space again, that is really affordable, and that's a huge issue for a lot of artists around the Galway city, especially recent graduates, where they can't be affording these huge rents on top of their own kind of own rents for their own housing. So it's just a great amenity to have and a great resource to have. To me, it means community and bringing people together, but it is about affordability as well, and having a space to work, where it's not costing you an arm and a leg as it would do with a lot of spaces, and also getting involved with other communities, both nationally, and internationally, and so for me, it is about community and affordability.
That's right.
Well, I'd love to see it go a lot more internationally. That we've recently come back from from Stockholm, the art fair, the supermarket art fair over there, and to have maybe more exchanges, foreign exchanges, and and studio exchanges, and to see it really just flourishing, and just maintaining that affordability as well, and opening more resources, like opening the dark room now, and the print have a print room, and we also have a residency program for emerging artists, recent graduates, and to keep that going and to keep it growing, and that's I would like to. Well, I'd love to get more shows, and I had a solo show in the last year and a half in the old courthouse in Oughterard, and I'd like to get some more solo shows, perhaps abroad, and to be working more with the community with my work as well. And as far as just displaying my own techniques and doing workshops, I've been doing workshops with the three different schools around the city, and perhaps do more of that, and to just keep pressing ahead with my practice, really, and to get more to get involved with more group shows, and to get more solo shows.